So hey, Logic Pro Hacks, this is Brian. How's it going? So this is the new year, a new day, and I decided to do something a little bit different. It's a little bit complicated, maybe not so, but here is my issue. I have Reason 5, and I don't want to upgrade. I don't want to spend any more money than I have to, but I like to use it with Logic Pro X. Well, how in the heck can you use it with Logic Pro X? Because Logic Pro X is 64-bit. And Reason will not support Reason 5 anymore. They want you to spend money and upgrade to at least version 7, or I think 8. I can't remember. I don't want to buy it. Now, I did get around it, and I found a cool little hack, but it involves a little tinkering with another laptop or another computer. You can use an older computer because Reason 5 is supported on like XP. Now, if you have like an old machine that has XP on it, or you can even use like an old Mac, like Snow Leopard. So what I did is I have an old laptop. It has Windows 7 on it, and I installed my Reason on it. And then I remoted in with a program called Chord, C-O-R-D. And I was able to access it, and then I used this thing called Midi networking. So let's go ahead and bring in the remote desktop. Here it is. Here is Reason. Now, let me show you what I have set up. This is how I do it. And if you like it, great. The first step in doing this is you want to have a network connection. And the best way I can explain this is get yourself a switch. If you don't know what a switch is, Google it. But it has to be a gigabit switch to support speeds up to a gigabit. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reference another video that I did. I did sort of the same thing a while back, networking with Ableton on a different laptop. So this is sort of the same thing, but this is a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that video in right over here, and you'll see that little drop down, take you to that other video. And it'll go over the specifics on how to set up a network, and I go into the IP address and everything you need to do this. So I'm not going to go into that much detail, but what I want to do is I want to go into just how I set up Reason. That's the best way to do this here. Take you into Audio Midi Setup Utility. And it's in Utilities folder, and then down in Utilities folder, you'll see a little icon that says Audio Midi Setup. That's what you click on, open this up. And in here, I talk about, double click on that, and it brings this up. Now you'll see here, and I talked about this before in the other video, but I'll just kind of briefly go over it. You see that you have these settings in here, and this comes default. And the only thing you really have to do is you just hit this little plus mark, and it'll come up with your computer name. And I talk about how to set your computer name, and I talk about the network stuff. And you just go ahead and you just click on that and you just hit connect. Now, how it sees this other computer, there's a little program here, and it's called RTP Midi. And it uses your Apple Bonjour protocol. So, if you have Windows 7, you should have no problem using this. And then what it does is you just open this thing up, and all you have to do is just click on that little plus mark to find the other computer. But make sure that this one is already active first. And then you should be able to connect with no problems. And again, I'm going to go ahead and reference that other video because I go in very minute detail on how to set all this stuff up. But I just want to go over, review it just a little bit. So you can just close it out. It's connected, and you could tell it's connected and good because this will light up right here, and you can see that you see a participant. Don't worry about this stuff down here. You just make sure that this is connected. All right, good. We got that all done. Get that out of the way. Now, the setup on Reason, this is cool. If you go in here, where is it at? It's in Preferences, in Advanced tab. And you pick that Asus Q500. That's the name of my computer, and that's my network thing that the RTP Midi is broadcasting out. And you pick that as your control for bus A. You can actually pick it more than once, if you wanted to do more than instruments. Now, MIDI clock sync, I'm going to go ahead and pick it for that. So that's set, and then what you do is you go down here and you pick this little button that says Advanced MIDI. Let me go ahead and just blow this up a little bit bigger for you. So I got it bigger. So what you want to do is you want to click on this thing called Advanced MIDI, and you can see that it's working because it shows up here. And then on your bus A, you'll see this MIDI channel here, right here, and you just click that little down arrow, and right now I just picked my instrument because I'm only using one instrument. You could create combinators and all that stuff if you wanted to do that. But that's all I'm using today. And you'll know that it's working because let's go ahead and put this over on the side. Now in Logic, what we're going to need to do here is we're going to need to set up external network MIDI. So it's pretty easy. You just go here and open up a new instrument and you pick external MIDI, and then on your output you're going to have your keyboard. Like I have my Lesis. By the way, I got a new keyboard, Lesis, and I'm going to pick this one that says Network Aliens. That's the name of my computer. Your computer could be John Smith, or it could be blah 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 Mac Pro something. You just pick that, and I just pick MIDI channel 1. Don't pick all because that's going to mess you up. And you just hit create. Once it creates, it's going to show up and it's going to look like this. Click this drop down arrow right here. And the one thing you want to check is make sure this port says the name of that computer, your computer, for the network connection. Channel 1, and that's all you need to do. All right, cool. So now we got that part connected. Now we need audio. Now, let me explain to you. MIDI is not audio. MIDI is just data. It just sends control data. Little tiny messages that go through a wire, and that's it. They're just control messages. Please do not mistake MIDI for audio. Audio, you need something a lot bigger to carry, and audio is a lot different. Now, for audio, usually what you do is you just take the audio out of your computer and you plug it into the input of a Mac. Like, for example, I have a line in input, which is, if you open up your sound thing right here, and you'll see it says input. You see how I have line in right there. That's the one that you want to use. Now, I have it a little bit different. Let me show you what I have. You go back to your audio MIDI setup, and you click on the window. You go show audio window if it's not already up, and you get this guy right here. I've created an aggregate channel, which is called Ag Logic for short, and in there I've picked my line input, my interface, which is an audio box, and Soundflower. You don't really have to have Soundflower, but that's just something I'm using so that you guys can hear me speak. All right, so I picked that line input. Great. Now then what you do is you go into Preferences, Logic Pro, Preferences, Audio, and you just make sure that this built-in line input or Ag Logic, whatever that you want, is in there. And the cool thing is when you create a new audio channel, audio, you can go in here and you can pick your output, and it should show up in there. And how you know which output channel it is it's in the order that it is right here. See how I can take this audio box and drag it? Well, if I did that, that means my audio box will be channel 3 and 4. But right now I have it set as 1 and 2, and the line input would be set as 3 and 4, and the Soundflower would be 5 and 6. But since I'm not using it in Logic, it only shows, I'm only using the line input, so it's only going to show 1 and 2 right now. But trust me on that, that works. Okay, so once you got your audio, and then you create your audio, and you pick your line input, and then you just connect it in there, and then if we go ahead and play, You can see the volume coming out. Another Alesis sampled setting. You can see it's coming in. It's going out 1 and 2. And it's coming right into my line mixer. I have a Behringer, if I say it right, little 602A mixer. And I can put in my keyboard in that mixer. And the audio from my keyboard, which is this one right here. And that goes out and then goes into the mixer. And then also the line out of this goes into the mixer as well. And they both come into this channel right here, which is cool. Yay. So how you sync it, just go in here. You go over up in your menu bar, go File, Project Settings, Sync, Synchronization. It opens up with this guy, and then your sync mode. Don't have to worry about that stuff. You go over down to where it says Midi, and you just click this little destination and pick your network thing right there. And that will sync it with your Reason. So then what you do, and then you bring your Reason back up on your other computer, go to Options, Sync, and click that little MIDI clock. And it'll be right on. It's over here. Move this over here. I want to see this go at the same time. Or if we hit the stop button or enter on the Logic Pro, it should set it to the counter 1. There we go. It went and set the counter 1. And then if we hit the space bar for play, you'll see it start ticking over there. So very good. I like that. I'm probably going to be using this a lot. There's a whole world of sounds that I'm able to access now because of this. And hey, it's Reason 5, actually Reason 5.1. And this is awesome because now I can take up all the refill files and bring it into my Logic session. Now, how you export, let's say like, all right, so right now, let's go ahead and let's just mute this one right now. Mute these. The one that's coming in from Reason is this one right here. Let's go ahead and we're going to rename this to From Reason, so we know. All right. So now we have. Oh, by the way, let me show this little trick. If you want to have a reference of what chords you're using, I actually just create an empty MIDI region and an empty instrument. And then I just name my thing right here. You just pick this one as your second one or your first one. But when you do this one, so that means when I hold the command key down, I got a text. I can write in the text for each MIDI editor, and then I color it. So that way I can easily identify which chord goes where. So that's what I like to do. I'm sure that you could go up in here and you can do all that jazz, but Logic X did something kind of funky with their chords. It's not the way it used to be in Logic 9. And it's where you could put in different chord signatures, and it just doesn't work right as it used to. And even at Logic 9, it never worked right. So I always like to just put it right here. I can see it, and it doesn't mess with my signature. Because like if you put a chord up here, it will actually change the whole keying of your song. It does, and that's not what I want to do. Because a lot of times, like I'll have a bass line, I'll be running a different bass line or something. You could all probably go in the marker section and put it in the marker, but this is cool here because I can just drop and drag everywhere I want to. And the marker's a little bit harder to cut and copy and all that. That's why I like to do it this way. What I wanted to show you is I muted that, and I want to play this. This is from Reason. Check this out. You see the audio coming in. Now I have a little mixer, so I can go ahead and turn up the volume. So cool. And that all came from Reason. And oh yeah. So what I wanted to show you about this was, how do you record it in? How can you do this? You can play it out by click on that little I for input. Now, what I like to do when I record things, I have an audio channel that I receive the signal from, but I record it in parts. And what I mean by that is I will have the parts, the certain audio files. So say like this is, all right, we can say this is the chorus section of the song, a new ambient song I'm working on. So how do I do this here? Well, just go ahead and just hit your little record arm track for that audio. And since I'm adjusting the audio from a little mixer, I'm going to keep this at 0 dB. And I also have a limiter on this as well. So I just go ahead and just set it and then just hit record, which is the Command key R. And here we go. It looks like it recorded in pretty well. It might be off latency wise, but since these are pads, it's off a little bit. So what we could do is we can bump it up a little bit, something like that. You can see, just zoom in a little bit. There we go. So it starts right there. So we could just go, something like that. So it wasn't really off that much. There we go. And I go back in there. And that's good. So then that's what I do. That is how I take care of the latency, because there's going to be a tiny, tiny bit of latency. I'm not really sure if it's coming from all the different audio setup that I have. Yours may be different. I'm working with my system is a little bit different. And also I have my latency set at 512. I don't really have it set real short, so that could be why it's like that. Anyhow, and then what I do is I go ahead and I mute that track, and then I just bounce it out as a normal track, and you could do processing on this one. You could, do compression and reverb and all that, and treat it as a normal audio file. And that's how you get bring in stuff from Reason. This is cool because I can use the Thor, I can use all the cool stuff that comes with, Reason 5. I really like this. The other thing that I could do is I also have a synth on a different channel on my mixer, and I can bring that in as well. Or I can bring them both at the same time. So let's go ahead and just play that synth. Let's create another audio channel. No input, because I'm not going to really. And then let's just put that Reason file down here, where I have the from Reason muted. I can open up this one. And this is coming from my Alesis right here. Ba-ba-bum. And you're not going to hear it because I have it muted. Let's go ahead and turn the volume up so you can hear the Alesis. And the volume down on the other one. It's a patch called Annabella. Really nice patch. And then let's go ahead and play this one. Or very good. And we could check the latency here. Just go in here just a little bit. And it looks like it's right on. Let's go ahead and move this guy up here a little bit. Looks like that came off. I must have accidentally moved it. There we go. And now we have two different audio channels. Let's go ahead and just copy this one, just duplicate it, and move this guy down here. Because this one has no input and this one has no input. And then we can go ahead and now we can mix these two. Record them in. It didn't really take that long to record that part. And go ahead and just maybe turn the volume down for this guy, bring the volume up for this. And then I also have a sub part. Go ahead and unmute that guy. And let's go ahead and mute the MIDI channel for that. And now, so let's go ahead and mix it in. Very good. And then what you do is you just put your processing on each audio file and then you just bounce it out just like that. And just make sure these two are muted. And you'd be good to go. All right, guys, that's all I have for today. If you guys have any questions, just hit me up. And go ahead and take a look at the other video that I'm going to be placing over here that deals with how to set all this up. This is just a video on how to do Reason and bring it into Logic Pro X. All right. And now, if you guys like Logic Pro hacks, please give me a thumbs up. If you guys have any questions, or I'm always looking for ideas on how to do new tutorials. And remember, my friends, stay groovy. Stay groovy. All right. Bye.